Want to see who rises to the occasion. As promised, picks and bans for Game 2 of the Spring Split. Copenhagen Wolves on the blue side. First ban out the gate, it will be Lee Sin.
So this obviously is not the correct names. We have Giants on the left side here on the blue side. And of course we have MYM on the right side or the red side in this pick and ban phase. Lee Sin, first ban. No surprise coming in from MYM in terms of the Rek'Sai, which we will see banned most likely throughout the entire day.
Well, you are 2 for 2 thus far, 3 more games to go through. As we have mentioned, Rengar will be the next targeted ban. This is heavy focus onto the junglers for both Giants and Meteor Makers, and we'll see how MYM responds.
So, Giants here knowing that Horo has actually been acting as the shot caller and one of the leaders on MYM, and therefore they start target banning him. We don't actually know in terms of scrims how big of a champion pool Horo has. When he used to play, I mean, there was actually a lot of release from him when he played back in Korea. For now, though, Lee Sin being banned away, of course, one of his main champions as well. And the Rengar, which we saw Reignover play just before, and doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Once again, slow picks and bans starting off the gate here between Giants and MYM. We will keep you updated with the bans. It was Azir for MYM as their second. The third and final ban from Giants is Janna. And Meteor Makers are running down the clock for their final ban.
Yeah, look at the last game we had here. Azir was actually open, and he wasn't picked by any team. Now was open as well, wasn't picked either, which is a little bit surprising, seeing as they've been considered two of the best picks and almost constantly banned in both Korea and China, leading up to the LCS starting here. Once again, Nara is open, Lissandra is an option as well, if Giants wants to first pick it.
Well, just to mention the last ban from MYM, it is Jarvan the 4th. So you'll see that updating in a moment. Rek'Sai, Jarvan and Azir taken off the table. My question to you is, the power pony of Hecarim going to see the light of day? Is Elise going to see the light of day? With so many jungle bans, who are Horo and Frederick going to pull out the gates? Evelyn's had some changes on this patch as well. I think you have to ask the question, who are they going to pick? It's a first pick Thresh for Giants. Once again, time is being run down.
Okay, so Giants here aiming for the second, we can say, tier 1 support in Thresh, with Janna being banned away by them, and also trying to target towards Nisbet, who is, once again, he's a solo queue support, has been picked up by MYM here, and is actually playing his very first professional game on the stage in our new studio here in Berlin. So they want to target both towards Horo and Nisbet, and therefore also first picking Thresh, even though there's so many good options. Again, Nara, Lissandra, whatever you want for the top lane here, it's up to MYM to choose. You need something where Mima he can carry, that's for sure. And also you need to make sure Blizzard gets on a comfort pick. Ahri would be one of them. He's an assassin player, Ahri Zed, that's the stuff he likes.
Well, we'll see what he can eventually get locked down. We're looking at the Giants coach for the time being. That is Lozark, helping out the team during picks and bans. You can hear them talking. You could argue longer picks and bans because of the involvement in coaches. Every time the cameras cut to them, these guys are talking away, communicating with their teams. You touched on the fact that the Thresh locked in by Rydell on the side of Giants is not only taking that from Nisbet, but Rydell is a little bit of a one-trick pony. He's played an excessive amount of Thresh, by far his most played, and in my opinion, by far his best champion. Yeah, so that's a good sign for Giants.
Sure it is, but by first picking here, you really also show to teams in the next few weeks or the next few games that, hey, we really need this Thresh lock in here for our supports. We want to first pick it despite other picks being open. I mean, you end up giving Sivir over to MYM. We saw what Steelback did in the last game. It's been one of the best AD carries because of your ulti. It's so strong in creating these team fights here, and your laning phase against the likes of a Corki is just fine because you can just push it up again and again and again. Yes, you lose one-on-one to Graves, but if you just play a little bit passive and just sit back farming, it's okay, and you then focus on these mid-game into late-game teamfights with your ulti instead.
Well, we'll find out what they decide to do. As you mentioned, Graves locked in, along with that Elise for Frederick. So with so many junglers taken off the table, Matakan is busy talking to his squad, and that is an Olaf locked in. A little bit of a dance on the side of Meteor Makers.
Okay.
And that is going to be a return of the Viking.
So Horo dancing around a little bit. So should be his jungle pick then. It is still actually a flex pick. He can go to the top lane for Mimar, not something we have seen in a long time. Same can of course be said for the jungler. Remember, you do get more gold here on 5.1. So playing more of a late game jungle carry could actually pay off as long as he can power farm the jungle and still stay relevant in early mid-game in terms of like pressure on the map.
Well, a lot of pressure then onto Horo's shoulders. We know that he's picked up the role of shot caller on the side of MYM. We did see that Nami locked in to round out your AD carry support comp.
Yeah, and also both Sivir and Nami able to speed up the Olaf here in these team fights to make sure he can just go crazy, get onto the enemy backline here and start wrecking faces.
Well, mobility is the name of the game for Meteor Makers. 20 seconds left on the clock for Giants. They need to round out their team composition. They've got the ability to find picks with Elise and with Thresh and the burst damage that Graves is going to put down. The question is, how do they round out their team composition? With LeBlanc, you feel like Giants is going towards a fairly heavy pick style of team comp. Werlib is going to pull out the Jax, and I'm going to say it right now, challenger player top laners have not impressed me with Jax either. And we did see Werlib sort of flirting with the champion over the last few months, but that's going to give you some late game safety as well, if Giants can get him there.
And it's going to give you some split pushing, and also the option of doing a two-man Baron in the game here fairly early on with Elise and Jax together. If they can try and sneak it here, the Baron is a bit weaker. But yeah, very pick-focused from Giants, and then you have the split pushing coming in from the Jax. Can even go into a 1-3-1 with the LeBlanc pushing and just having Graves sitting in this mid lane here. So definitely is setting up to try and make sure Werlib can get going on this Jax here, because there's still a counter pick left for MYM on this side, and obviously Olaf we expect is to go into the jungle, meaning Mimir can pick whatever he wants for this top lane into Jax and Renekton. That wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, and I do want to expand on the fact that it is Mimir, of course, once again in that top lane, arguably the best top laner of the summer split from 2014. He put up
him and Freddy up there
fantastic performances throughout the split. I agree with you there, Freddy, as well. And of course, Renekton has received some changes in 5.1. We'll see if he can get rewarded for all of that aggressive champion-based play. But it also puts pressure on Werlib. The early game is going to be so difficult for that Jax against the bully that is Renekton.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough early game for him, but if you manage to survive the laning phase, we know a Jax will completely outscale Renekton. And that's basically it here for MYM. There's a lot of mid-game power, but you will get outscaled going into the late game here. Both the Graves and the Jax, of course, will become very, very hard to deal with. So we're going to have to see some of the same performance that Fnatic pulled off here, where you are playing very aggressive early. You use the Sivir ulti, your high mobility on the Olaf as well to create these picks, get the objectives, and don't let this Jax go to late game.
No, definitely not the case. MYM will need to channel a little bit of Fnatic's decision-making and aggressive playmaking with this high mobility comp of theirs. And if they do, they could run circles around Giants in the opening minutes. We will, of course, be asking you guys to vote at home for which comp you think is going to come out victorious. Both Giants and MYM coming into this game, Meteor Makers, they've got the replacement mid laner. We'll see who's going to work out. It is Blizzard, of course, in place of Corey. Let us know who you think's going to win. There's the team comps. They're on your screens. Tweet us at LOL Esports. Use the hashtags GIAWin or hashtag MYMWin. And we'll see who you guys think will come out ahead. You know, of course, in our new studio here in Berlin, there's the audience. We're about to get into our second game of the day in the spring split here in the European LCS. Gates are down. Giants versus MYM. Let's see who's going to come out victorious.
And I don't think Giants could have hoped for a better situation here. You're facing MYM in the first game. They just lost their mid laner, made 2 more changes during the off-season here, getting Horo and, of course, Nisbet for the support roles. So we don't really know what to expect from MYM. We actually have to go back to the comps a little bit, because I was talking about how Giants would really outscale, or at least the Jax would outscale Renekton. That is true, but we also have to look at like the Olaf pick here. Elise is one of the junglers who doesn't really scale into late game. She just becomes a tank and a cocoon bot, basically. She doesn't have an ulti, so there's no chance for her to duel someone like an Olaf in the late game. So MYM, it's actually not like they are going to be much worse going into the late game. It's only the Jax they have to worry about. So we might see Horo pay a lot of attention towards shutting down Werlib early.
Well, we'll see how the decision-making falls into place. Not a lot of early aggression this time round. Teams throwing out those wards and setting themselves up for what looks to be standard lanes. No massively deep vision, so nobody expecting those lane swaps.
We could see Giants try for a lane swap here to try and save Werlib, but it seems like we will actually have standard lanes, and he's going to do the same thing he did at IM Cologne, where we had the expansion tournament, where he starts Raptors at level 1 on his Jax. He kills them, he gets instant level 2, he goes back to base, buys a second potion or 2 more potions, and then he teleports to the top lane. and that kind of relieves some pressure for him where Renekton won't just freeze him or push him out of the wave instantly.
Well, we'll see if that plan comes into action and if it's actually going to help him out. Almost 2 minutes on the clock, so jungle camps are going to be up. This time around, you can see that Adri and Rydal are actually starting on the Krugs down in the bottom lane.
This is smart by Mimir. He knows Whirlip is starting on the Raptor here, so he can actually walk in and stop Frederick from doing this grump.
Well, going to get some damage down, at least delay Frederick's lane. And as you mentioned, Whirlip's going to have that advantage on those Raptors. Minions have collapsed in that top lane, and just a little bit of a bother. Mimir playing the annoyance game, keeping Frederick just a little bit slower down. So Mr. Rolls and Nisbet, their lane is pushing a tad heavier. Rydal and Nisbet trading in the bottom lane. Early teleports.
Yeah, so Whirlip here going in, just trying to get level 2 from basically the first minion dying, but Mimir should be able to get the same. Just a few minutes here, so Whirlip has to play aggressive now when he has that level advantage early and trying to at least bully Mimir a little bit, maybe force the only potion he's actually sitting on.
Well, we'll see how he decides to play it out. Throw ice to the middle lane. Assassin versus Assassin. There's Pepinero taking on Blizzard. This is, of course, stepping into his first professional game on the LCS stage as a substitute, helping out Meteor Makers. And we need to see how he's going to handle himself. The lane is going to push back in his favor in just a moment or two.
Yeah, and it's such a skill matchup in here. If you can actually predict where LeBlanc is jumping with a distortion and you land a charm from Ahri, you can win the trades. But otherwise, it's just up to Pepinero here to kind of control when he wants to go in for the trades, because he has that mobility early on, pre-level 6, that Blizzard doesn't have on Ahri. And Mimir catching up in levels, actually getting slightly ahead here and instantly bullying out the Jackson. We have to remember, Renekton had a few changes here in 5.1. He actually gets more Fury now if he trades with the enemy champion, and heals for slightly more as well with an AD ratio now on his Q.
It'll be interesting to see how Mimir decides to play this champion out. With all those sweeping changes, just to make him more thematically accurate and more rewarded for playing aggressively in team fights. Stacking it up. Whirlip's got a massive amount of minions to help catch up that CS deficit that he finds himself, but Crystalline Flask is going to keep him topped off fairly well. A very, very slow opening few minutes to these games. Both Giants and MYM coming in to sort of prove that they belong in the LCS. MYM, the former Super Hot crew, you know, they had moments of brilliance last year, but truthfully, they never really reached what felt like their full potential. They always started rolling and had a slew of problems to deal with as the year progressed.
Yeah, but they've just never been a stable lineup, a stable team, because support changes constantly. I mean, Mr. Rallis has been switching through supports from Mixa in the very start, and Regal Failer came in, Kasing was there, now it's Nisbet, of course, playing, so he never really found the right support. And let's see here, Frederick coming towards the top lane.
Well, easy slice away from Mimir. I think he still had the dice available if it was needed. Frederick's going to be chilling out in the bush, stood right on top of a ward, so Horo's going to be aware of it. I think you're right, 4 supports in 12 months, that is a lot. We'll see how the synergy works in a minute or two. Horo going to step into play. He does eat a cocoon for his trouble, but Frederick changes to Spider form. That's a very good death sentence from Rydal. Going to keep Mr. Rolls on the back foot, and that is why we keep talking about Rydal's finish. We'll see if he can keep that up. At Expansion Tournament, he landed a ton of death sentences.
Definitely his best champion, no question. That's also why you first pick it, and actually leave up so many strong picks for MYM on the other hand. Mimir now, they want to go for this fight, but there's so many minions and they don't actually know where Frederick is, so they want to be careful, don't want to take too much minion damage and then get counter gang at the same time. And Frederick showing himself want to push out the wave here, so Whirlip can go back to base and shop. He doesn't have teleport ready just yet though. We're still staying around.
Keep your eyes on the different jungle items. Horo has gone for that Stalker's Blade. Pepinero again jumping into Blizzard, but that was a good charm. That's going to prevent further damage. Blizzard's running out of mana though. And as it stands, it's fairly even in the mid lane. However, Pepinero is slowly pulling himself ahead. This is actually a good confidence game for Peppy, considering he's coming up against a sort of substitute player and he's going to have the backing of a well-practiced team.
Very, very true. But actually trading okay Blizzard in this mid lane. Again, this is very first game, professional game actually. And now even here,
Danish Pride holding
studio
there to Fisher.
Well, we're going to have to wait and see how he performs.
Oh, you can't jump on a bandwagon. Come on. You're either proud or you're not.
That's what I did with Bjergsen. I didn't support him in the start, but then it turned out to be really good.
Yeah, I remember the quote. It was, it was quite famous around these parts.
He had that one coming.
Yeah, well, he definitely shone once he eventually joined the LCS. Giants and MYM continue to just stick in their lanes. Horo and Frederick have shown their face in the top lane, mostly to wave, throw some high fives around and keep chilling. Mima now comes back to lane. He's got the pickaxe. He's got the longsword. He'll be coming up against the double Doran's blades of Werlieb. And a tentative passive start from these teams. I think you can sort of feel the tension that these squads have on their shoulders right now.
Yeah, and Horo once again, he's staying towards the top side. Oh, but he's actually flashing in.
That was a flash forward. Spirit Rush is up. Ignite was ticking away. And we do see Peppinero manages to get out safely. Gonna have the support of Frederick alongside him, but aggressive play by Blizzard here. He gets control, but he loses absolutely everything.
He loses everything, and Peppinero keeping it very, very cool. No flashing here, just distortion away, jump back again, and Geoke him around here. So definitely a small win for Peppinero in this mid lane. And instantly as MYM, they want to take control of this top side of the map because they want Horo to be able to run to the top side and dive onto Werlieb if he's pushed down to his tower. And that's also why Giants instantly respond, try and clear out the pink wards and make sure they can always see where Horo is going.
Right, we'll see if it's going to help them out. Going on to the 8-minute mark, and neither of these junglers having any sort of impact. This has to at least favor Horo's Olaf somewhat. Got himself a couple of CS. He's not been bullied.
Oh yeah, he's massively gone out around.
He's very, very happy with the comings and goings of the Giants jungler. Frederick has been bullied quite often. I mean, Mima, starting from very early on when Mima interrupted his Gromp, and we saw Horo sort of counter-ganking as well.
If Horo can get to his late game point as well, I mean, he will be able to just run in at Adri here on the Graves, and there's nothing that can stop him. He has all the speed ups he needs. Didn't even have to run Ghost because he has Sivir on his team, even the Nami, providing even more movement speed for him, so he could run the Flash. And just been happy sitting and farming, getting his level 6 very, very soon, and then we can see some action happening.
Well, we'll see. You know, we're talking about Peppinero, and we're talking about Werlieb from the expansion tournament, and Werlieb really stepped up. Peppinero, he wasn't the same carry that he was during the online stages of the tournament, as we've already mentioned, but to contrast Werlieb's numbers in his wins against Reason and his losses against H2K, he went from a 4.7, we'll get to that in a second, as Mima's going to be in trouble, forced to throw down the Dominus, and the wet noodle fight turns into a steel concrete fight. Peppinero comes in, Ignite's going to pick it up, and I did not expect him to stick around for the entire kill. But a very good roam from Peppy.
Yeah, not a single ward from MYM on this top side right now here, so Peppinero could roam up. Blazer isn't even able to push it down in time, so Peppinero losing nothing in the mid lane and getting a first blood on this top side here. Very nice setup and a lack of wards from MYM. You should never be able to just roam freely from this mid lane to the top side. Mima had no idea what's happening. He was staying around trying to trade.
Especially in a lane matchup where you know that Jax is going to be receiving some help. Jax is always going to have a couple of buddies tapping him on the shoulder. Horo is looking for the undertow, does not connect with Frederick's Elise, so decides to back away. And we'll quickly go back to the story time. Werlieb in his wins against Reason, 4.7 KDA. Werlieb in his losses against HTK at LAN, 0.7. So it really was day and night when he was coming up against a weaker top laner than when he was coming up against a stronger top laner, that being Oda1 there.
But that's also Giants knowing once they have the lead how to actually snowball the game. That's what we saw in the expansion tournament. That's why you get a great KD as well. For now, they started the Dragon here. Mimar has no teleport just yet. Werlieb actually ran all the way from base, so he can now teleport back up, pick up all the farm. Nice little setup. Once again, no wards from MYM. And they're just letting Giants move around the map.
Massive burst from Peppy. He's stamping authority on this matchup. He's grown the CS to nearly 20, continually keeping Blizz on the back foot. No flash available for Ahri yet. Going to be relying on that Spirit Rush of hers to stay alive. This is, of course, Challenger Ahri that is available for a short time. So, top lane, let's see if this wet noodle fight goes anywhere. Werlieb and Mima. Mima a tad more tentative this time round. I think he wasn't expecting the damage. Werlieb goes in. Counter-Strike's going to be available. He stuns the Crocodile up. Dominus is thrown down. They're going to trade, and Werlieb with the Cutlass.
Yeah, Mima
1v1ing Mima.
already falling behind here and just taking the wrong trades with Werlieb. This is not good for him. I know this is a very obvious statement, and yes, getting 2 kills early on is not good, but when you're Renekton and Pick, which won't really have much of an impact late game other than just being a tank who can run and try and stun a target, that's about it. Against the Jax who can split push and you have nothing to stop him. I mean, Olaf isn't going to run up and stop the Jax, the jungle Olaf here, so there's nothing to stop Werlieb in the late game. And he's taking these one-on-one fights and he's just winning them, dodging around all the damage. Mimar overextending, not using his ulti at the start of the trade, saving it in the very end, and just ends up dying. So,
yeah, second time that we've seen those fights breaking out. I'm not going to get surprised by the third time round it happens, but a smaller CS advantage in favor of Jax in the top lane. Needlessly large rods picked up for both of these mid laners, and look at Nisbet in the river.
And look at Rytle in the top lane instead. Forget about Nisbet. Instead, though, setting up for a potential counter gank. In case Horo wants to show up, or at least want to start his own gank and give Whirlip another kill. This again, once Whirlip gets a good start, the entire Giants team just want to try and snowball him.
Well, Mima seems to be very, very far. Let's look for the initiation. Blaze available, Counter-Strike's available, Slice was used, Dice now used as well. Whirlip, he flashes, he stuns, Death Sentence connects. This should be an easy kill. Box goes down in case it was needed. And Giants put a gigantic foot on top of Mima, shutting him down.
Oh,
it's not over yet. Adri may be in trouble. MYM looking for a reply. Can they get on the board? Chilling Smite comes out, and Adri just dashes away. Fairly easy. MYM going to get some presence in the tower.
Just good timing by Giants here. They actually had the bottom wave pushed up when Rytle decides to recall and then roam up, and he's in the mid lane now.
Absolutely everything misses. We don't see any of those spell shots connecting, and Blizzard manages to sidestep. Mr. Rolls will secure the first tower of the game. Meet Your Makers close that gold gap. Eventually, there we go.
And both the teams here, both the teams actually trading deep wards in the enemy jungle around the red buff. We see from Giants, of course, on the top side, from MWM on the bottom side. As soon as they saw Rytle top lane, moved in with Nisbet. Mima once again is in trouble. I mean, he's so weak.
That was a lot of damage from Frederick, and you look at his itemization. Gone for the Sight Stone before completing his enchantment on that jungle item. Already able to burst down Mima, of course, with a Chain Vest, no MR to speak of. Giants are slowly pulling ahead. And with a 2-0-1 Jax, you have to ask yourself, can they make use of the split pushing power? Top tower should fall shortly. There it goes. And how does Giants handle the 1-4 push? Trying to cast my mind back. I think if memory serves, Gamers 2 with Ocelot tried to do that in a similar stage in the online tournament, and they weren't able to make use of a fed, powerful Jax. Giants on LCS stage.
And that's why they're not in the LCS.
And that's why they're not in the LCS. Let's see what MYM can do.
Rytle for now, he knows something is wrong here. Oh, he might end up dying.
Oh, this is scary. He does get the flay down. He was way out of position, but look at the rest of Giants. They're going to get some positioning on this mid tower. Trading a support for a tower, I think that's a fair trade at the end of the day. Giants will be happy with the global goals.
The Giants always just one step ahead here, moving in onto Blizzard.
Oh, Pepe flashes for that one. The root goes down. We see the spider come in, sinks the bangs, and that's a kill. Adri from downtown with collateral damage. Red buff, the Brambleback still bashing away in the back line. Here comes Whirlip. Exhaust is out, but he doesn't have the support of his team members, and it's a kill. The Charm connects, and I think that's going to be them. Finishing out was the Cocoon.
The red buff is not done.
Oh, red buff still not done. Whirlip has got the help of the minions. Hops over the wall, and Pepe gonna play very cheeky. Dashes in and out. Giants 4 kills to 1, and they got the mid tower.
But again, this is Giants who wants to get the early lead. Oh, Nisbet!
Oh, does manage to bounce backwards. Nisbet survives.
Pepinero couldn't really get the last part of his combo onto him and try and pop him there with the early DFG being built. From a fairly easy laning phase, to be honest. And that's what you can do if you don't feel pressured at all in the laning phase. You can just instantly rush a DFG. No need for anything or anything in Pepinero's case here. But Giants, once they have the lead, you constantly see how they want to go into the enemy jungle, put up the wards, take the fight. Rytle knew, okay, there's a high chance we're going to die for face check. But at least then we can take a mid tower instead. And that's what happened. And then the rest of Giants just walked back in. They weren't done yet. Constantly pushing it. Putting all the focus on the top side as well, because the Jax is so far ahead that you can have the D-board there and you can have him join the fight.
Well, we'll see how Giants decide to play the rest of the game out. Coordinated resource management. 1 kill for a tower, 1 death for a tower. Definitely works in your favor. Dragon was secured by Giants first a few minutes ago, and it's about to respawn in 20 seconds. There's no vision in that area, really, for either team. A few lone wards by MYM, but it's not the greatest coverage. And you anticipate that Giants will be trying to set up. MYM have got the makings of a death push, but not a lot of numbers.
No, so this is obviously one of their bad things if you put all your focus on the top side of the map, is you lose control of the Dragon. And that's why MYM has been able to place all these walls around it here. Pepinero, though,
look at that burst, but the chains do not connect. So that means Nisbet gets away with his life. Exhaust is not available. Tidal Wave has just come up.
Just gonna be fighting in the top lane. Whirlip has his teleport ready, so if he decides to back away, Giants can actually start the Dragon, and Mima won't be able to respond. They should do it right now if they want to force a team fight.
Yeah, not the longest cooldown though for Mima, so that window of opportunity is going to shrink very, very quickly. Blizzard continues to get bullied around that mid lane. 30 CS behind at this stage. And Giants, they are forcing the Dragon. Still no teleport for Mima, so it is like you're talking about.
It's the right call. It's definitely the right call here. Knowing there's no teleport just yet for Mima. If anyone wants to try and fight for this one, well, they're going to be in a disadvantage. So smart enough by them. They back away, and Giants, full control.
Well, we'll see how it works out for them. In the middle lane, Werlip, 1 versus 3. He's got the support to Pepinero. We do hear the Ragnarok from Horo. First kill secured. It is Nisbet going down. And what was a 1v3 to start, 2v3 to finish. Giants get Dragon and a kill.
And again, Werlip, he roams down from the top lane because he had pushed it all the way into the enemy tower, and then he just teleports up because the global objective is gone. You don't need your teleport for Dragon the next 6 minutes anyway. Just go top lane, pick up some more farm, and constantly make sure you get into your Trinity Force and further in King Point.
Oh, we'll see if Pepinero can get away. Blizzard dashes for Peppy. He goes back in, tries to get damage down. That was a mistake, and Peppy gives up a kill to Blizzard.
So it looked pretty fun. He tried to dodge around the charm by dashing back, ends up dying instead. Blizzard finally able to pick up a kill on Pepinero. 2-1 actually. He's been one of the few positive things for MYM so far in this Ari, at least in terms of the kills he's been able to pick up.
Yeah.
His laning phase was very, very shaky.
Positive's a strong word, I think, Deficio.
Okay.
Danish
Less
pride is
negative.
clouding your vision, I think. But yes, 2-1 is still 40 CS down. We do see the enchantment for Frederick. It has been picked up. We'll get to that in a second. He's about to find some trouble. Horo and Nisbet gonna run in. Sings his bangs. Nisbet gets caught. Horo gets pulled backwards. Frederick can ride. That's a flash play. We did see the collateral damage from Audrey and 2 more kills to Giants. 1 for Frederick, 1 for Audrey. It's 7-2 and a gigantic lead for the Spanish Armada.
Just reading MWM like a book right here. Waiting for him to come down to gank the bottom lane. 2 easy kills. Straight into the enemy jungle once again. Place your deep ward. You have a sidestone. Early build on Frederick. Just a smart choice by him as well. Knowing, okay, we're winning the early game here. Let me get this early sidestone so I can really dominate the map together with my support in terms of the wards.
Approaching 20 minutes. Approaching 5,000 gold. 3 towers to 1. 2 dragons to 0. Trinity Force Cutlass for this Jax. Juggernaut in the hands of Frederick's Elise. You can also see DFG making a death cap for Pepinero. It's just really, really big item spikes. Giants are getting to the point where they're nearly a full item ahead in some of the carry roles.
And you're making sure the enemy Olaf here can't really farm anything because you just take everything in his jungle, then you back away. Once it respawns, you walk in, take it one more time. And Horo's now forced to actually try and find farm in the lanes instead, where he's taking it away from someone like Blazer or maybe even Mr. Rales, who both need their farm if MYM needs to come back in this game.
It's going to have to be a whole lot of mistakes from Giants, I feel, for MYM to come back in this matchup. About 20 seconds, sorry, a few minutes until Dragon comes back up. Giants have got the first 2. Uncontested, completely uncontested. And with the timing, with the control that they've got in the game, you have to feel that Giants are just going to continue to strangle the life out of MYM. Pepinero steps forward, does it to charm actually. Decides to go aggressive and doesn't manage to lock Blizzard down with those ethereal chains, so he gets away cleanly. But that's a very aggressive LeBlanc that we've seen from Peppy.
I want to see Giants pick up a few more pink wards now, though. They have such a big lead. Use them to really force MYM away from their own jungle. For now, at least. Horo is staying around his red buff. Might not be the smartest choice because everyone from Giants is moving in.
Well, let's see where they decide to go. Last time around, they invaded the blue buff quite extensively. They've got inner turrets to push onto. Werlip is continuing to split push up in that top lane. He's definitely got the ability to outduel Mima's Renekton. Mima, of course, gone for early sun.
Can outduel him.
Mima's got himself an early Sunfire Cave. That's definitely not traditional on top laners that we're seeing these days. Maybe feeling the pinch, feeling the pressure. Well, another buff steal from Giants. It's red to add to the collection.
Yeah, well, difference for MYM, knowing this time around they can't fight in Giants will be there. Onto Mima again.
Oh, that's going to be a dead crocodile. He just gets minced, shredded, skinned, and Giants turn their attention to the tower. Peppy gonna play the distraction game, and Giants take a tower after an easily coordinated dive.
So the Sunfire you were talking about just before here for Mima, it's just him trying to say, I need some power right now. It is cheaper than the Radiant's Open, but also weaker in the late game. But it gives him a bit of an earlier spike and some tankiness, which, as you can see, he needs, even though it's not enough against 4 members here.
Well, Renekton pick is not working out. That was, of course, meant to be the counter to Jax, but he never really got a chance to bully him around. A few times he did, well, he came out ahead. So Blizzard manages to get away from Pepe's burst. 3-1-1 on that LeBlanc. Still got himself nearly 40 CS advantage. Actually picked up an Amp Tome in the background to add to the needlessly large rod, so still saving some more cash. And 8-2, this is just a Giants stomp, to be fair.
It is.
They got the first few kills and they've just been rolling over Meteor Makers. Pepe wants to blow somebody up.
Again, the only thing they need to do different is just get a few more big wards here so you can actually deny wards from him and avoid...
Oh!
Okay, you can also just kill people.
Oh, let's see what Horo can do. He's looking for Pepe. He throws down the vicious strikes and does connect with the undertow. So 1 for 1 at the end of the day. A couple of assists on the side of MYM, but
Pepe knows it's all alone. He just goes in, like, under the tower, just 1v3, doesn't even matter. The rest of his team are running from base.
He doesn't care. He does not care, just diving Blizzard in the background. That's going to be a difficult one to overcome if you're Blizzard for your first game on the stage, first game with this team after being subbed in to suboptimal circumstances. So Death Cape was completed now for Pepe. He's going to have even more burst.
He's sitting on almost 500 AP with
At
22 minutes in. He has the 6% from the Dragon, and of course Death Cap being completed. Codex as well, getting some more cooldown reduction. Pepe Neo's looking pretty good.
And you're also seeing Frederick even going for the damage route. Grabbing himself a Haunting Guise.
Again, that's just snowball in the game
item.
now. That's just completely snowball in the game.
You've got this much of a lead, why not? So Dragon is up. Look at the vision for Giants in the bottom half of the map. It's relatively deep in MYM's jungle. They've got some good wards up towards that wolf camp. Nobody from Meteor Makers is responding. The Giants are going to secure their 3rd Dragon of the game. And they're just going to keep going. They're just going to keep pushing at this stage. There's no one that can stop Jax. There's no one that can survive Pepe. Audrey and Rydell aren't even needed at this point, but you expect they'll carry pretty hard as well.
Yeah, Phantom Dance almost completed for Audrey here. And that game extremely strong as well. Horo, let's see if he can survive.
Oh, this is going to be a horrific amount of damage.
DFG came too late.
Too late indeed. Pepe not going to be impressed with that one. But the damage into Horo pushes him away. Minion wave in the bottom lane. Giants are going to steal another blue buff. And we'll see. They should be able to get the bottom in a turret, despite the fact Mr. Riles is able to sort of solo push that top lane. That's a small solace for Meteor Makers. But the team that we weren't expecting a whole lot of from Giants has performed well, despite the fact MYM have got that substitution. Giants have come in. They've played controlled and coordinated. It's not flashy. It's not dramatic. But it is controlled, you can't deny it.
I just love the way they focus on Whirly in the start here, knowing he's the guy we need to get ahead, and as soon as he got the first kill, or Pepe Nero walked up and got the first kill, Whirly just handled everything on his own. Let's see, Blazer, and for Pepe Nero again.
Oh, does get the DFG down. Here comes Pepe in the background. Horo's coming to help out. Good shot from Horo, managing to predict Pepe's movements.
Pepe Nero needs to be a little bit careful though. I mean, this is not the first time he's been caught out. I mean, 3 deaths now from him, and every single one has either been Blazer jumping him, and then he has to like distortion around and ends up dying, or just him diving in by himself, because it means now MYM taking over tower.
Yeah, more importantly than the death itself is the global gold that the tower is going to give you. So MYM claw back, they were about 8k gold down a few minutes ago. It's now down to 4,500, 5,000. It's not as terrifying. The problem that they had, how do they deal with Jax? Blade of the Ruined King completed, Trinity Force completed. Jax is terrifying, and Deficio, you talked about a 2-man Baron earlier in the game, 5.1. Yes. Baron is weaker than 421, and look at this. They've got the whole team there. This is going to go quickly, but Horo is nearby. There's no flash available. This is going to need to be a godlike steal. Let's see if he can get the undertow out.
Zodiac.
502 simple. Giants sneak the Baron at 25 minutes.
I really like this play here. They see MYM pushing down the mid lane, and then all 4 members after killing the tower walk to the bottom side of the map, and instantly Giants, 2 pink wards, walk straight to Baron. You know you have the Jax with Blade, you have the Elise as well, and you just start it. You don't even care, you don't think, you just go for it, and it works. And Horo staying alive.
Oh, look at the damage on Horo. They've got Blizzard. He's now dead. The tower will fall in a second, as it does. The rest of Giants continue to push. Remember, they've got Baron buff, so their minions are going to be super effective. Frederick lands a cocoon into Nisbet in the background. We do hear Siv's ultimate get thrown down, but it's not going to be enough for MYM to do anything but defend their tower. Audrey is not bashing away in the tower just yet. Pepe jumps in. He blows Horo up. And that's a dead Viking. Giants waiting for more minions. Look at the top. They can rotate if they want to. Peppy dashes forward again. And Giants are looking to strangle the life out of MYF.
No need to rotate to the top in here. Just take down his mid turret, or it takes some more kills.
That's going to be a dead Mima. Whirlip flashes forward. That's a double counter-strike. Double kill. Gonna close it out for the triple. Inhibitor turret is down.
And that's how you get a good
fall.
KDA.
There's still minions pushing forward. Giants, what do they want to do? Where do they want to send their targets? They're pushing onto Nexus turrets. The burst onto Blizza is huge. Nexus turret number 1 drops. Nexus turret number 2 is being focused down. 27 minutes on the clock. That's going to be another stun for Whirlip. He gets dropped in the background. It's too little. It's too late. Giants are looking to put a gigantic stamp on the win.